Hello and welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name is Danny, and for the next 2 hours I'm going to be painting my models along with you, who hopefully you're bringing some paints and paintbrushes and some models to paint with. I can put my words back in. If you're new here, this isn't a tutorial show or anything like that. There's loads of that stuff out there already. You should go and check them out, but don't do it right now. Stick around here because I'm just going to paint my stuff, hopefully with a little bit of company this evening. I've got some people join me in the live chat today. I've got Shiv from Table of Horrors. Hi Shiv, hope you're doing well, pal. I've got Kez. Hi Kez, same to you, mate. I've got Jeff. Hi Dad. And I've got Adrian. I'm late, but then again so is Danny. Only because I'm looking after my partner, who's a little bit poorly. She's a little bit under the weather today. She's got a sore throat. She's got today and tomorrow off from work. She feels like she's kind of, missing out on her free time, which is a bit of a shame, really, because whenever you're poorly on a day off, just makes you feel like you're wasting your own time, doesn't it, really? It's better to have a day off of work. But I'm sure she'll be fine. She's just got a sore throat and, energy levels are a bit low. So apologies for being about 30 to 60 seconds late today. But, it was all for a good thing. All for a good thing. I came home. She's like, I haven't cooked. I'll cook. I'll do all the chopping. And all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so if you are new here and you're looking for a community in which you can make some friends with these guys over here and this guy, get some stuff painted live while someone else is struggling or succeeding, that's the whole point of this show. You can come and join along with us and get yourself painted through all your big piles of grey unpainted plastic all over the place. I've got loads of it all over the place here. So yeah. If you like what we do, of course, please do consider subscribing to the show, because that is literally how we measure the growth of the community. Don't really know where I'm going with that, but when the numbers go up, it means that we're getting further out there. We're getting into the community of hobby painters. So if you know someone who you think might benefit from coming along to a show like this, bring them along. Bring your kids. Do whatever. Learn to paint a model together, or get through your existing pile of unpainted plastic. So yeah, hit the subscribe button. It would make my day. Our numbers are going up. It's slow, which means it's organic, and that's absolutely fine. It doesn't need to be big, although that would be kind of cool if it did. But it doesn't have to be. It's just a place for you guys to network and paint with some friends, basically. So yeah, if you are painting something this evening, do come along and tell me, because I'm genuinely inspired and motivated by all the things that you do. If you want to take a photograph of it, you can stick it up on any of our platforms if you like, because we're not just here, we're on Instagram as well, we're on Facebook, which is normally quite active, we're over on Discord as well, and you can drop your photos in any of those areas if you like. Well, you have a tough time trying to do it on Instagram, I suppose, but have a go by all means. So yeah, send me some pictures of the stuff that you're painting. Adrian lately has been going bonkers painting all of his stuff, really getting through that list, so well done to you. And everybody else has been sending in pictures on Facebook or sending to me on Instagram, etc. So you can send them on Instagram, just not publicly, right? But there's some stuff out there, guys, that is absolutely cracking, so well done to all of you. I don't get as much time lately as I used to. Starting my new job in January has just been a bit full on. This week has been like the biggest week, and we're done. It's behind us now. My boss has kind of handed over authority to me, so starting from tomorrow, I'm kind of in charge of the whole department now, which is really exciting. It's not nerve-wracking. There's opportunities for me to kind of trip up a little bit, but I'm really supported. But basically, up until now, it's been very much me absorbing information, learning, and even if you're not physically active, which we are all the time at work, where I work, it's your brain's constantly munching, and if your brain's working, that's calories spent, isn't it? So I'm just coming home and I'm really tired, so I haven't been spending as much time painting, really, as much as I used to, or as much as I would like to. Hoping now, starting to get used to it, I'll be able to spend a little bit more time in the studio on some time off. But not this week, because I've just finished a 5-day week, and I've got 7 more days on my shift, so it's a 12-day week for me. It's going to be a cruise, but it doesn't mean that I get a day off coming up soon to dedicate into painting this. So anyway, that's my life in a nutshell at the moment. I hope you guys are all well, happy, etc. Looking forward to painting with you this evening. Anybody else has joined us? We've got Crumbs has joined us. Evening all on the roads to monetization. You say that every week. Like every week we should be getting like an explosion of subscribers. 240 to date. 240. What a respectable little number that is. So we're some milestones away from monetization. If we get there, I will put all of the money not into my pocket, but into making this show better, into the studio, into better supplies, cool models, etc. I know I get the joy of painting them and maybe playing with them if they're models for playing, but the idea is to create a show and a community for you guys. So if we get there, when we get there, that's what's going to happen. Adrian says, so 2025 Project 10 turned out to be the Warp Talons, and they have just been finished. Yes. 2025 Project 11 is a repaint of some Chaos Terminators, Chaos Spawn, and finishing off a Dark Angels Captain. Excellent. Photos or it never happened, please. Yes, cool. Do you know what? I'm going to enlarge my screen because it's really tiny for some reason. That's much better. And now we're going to go over to the workbench. Here we go. So, everything's a little bit higgledy-piggledy. I'm going to say it's just straight up a mess. It is straight up a mess because last week I just dawdled around on Discord at the end of the night because I was absolutely shattered last week. And yeah, I have been all week, so I actually had some friends over during the week, as I always do, and I was falling asleep on my sofa talking to my friends. That's how tired I've been lately. I actually had a really good night's sleep last night and the night before, so I'm starting to feel a little bit better. Anyway, last week we were looking at painting checks and things like that, talking about painting checks and things. And I kind of got into it. We talked about painting straight lines. Is this the most perfect straight line in the world at the bottom here? No, probably not. But that's fine. The idea is that as I continue on with this, I will try to make that line even more and more straight. It is pretty straight, isn't it? The black to the cream. The light here is pretty strong. I hope that the glare on that isn't as bright as what I see for you guys. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Where's my zoom button? Here we go. There we go. That's as far as I can zoom. Sorry. There we are. So down here, this little section here is a cream colour. The little checks that I was painting up here are white. On the screen they look almost identical, but there is a difference in the colour. As I started painting this one last week, I realised that actually maybe I could make these checks quite a bit bigger. So that's going to be my task today. Is I'm not really going to worry about neatening this line up, although it is bugging me a little bit. Just in the middle, just here. Can you see it just kind of dips down a little bit, and it stands out to be quite a bit. There's also like a big scratch, a big scar designed to look like some sort of damage that's gone onto there, and it crosses over right in the central point. So I think that kind of exacerbates how it looks. I did say that during the week I was going to neaten up these little patches here and here, sand them away. I've just not had any time, but do you know what? I'm not fussed. I don't care. Whatever. I'm having a great time painting it. It's really good fun. Really does take the mini out of miniature though, doesn't it? So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to get some paints. Oh, do you know what? Last week, at the end of last week, on Discord, we're just having a little bit of a quiet natter, really, just a bit of a chinwag. Everyone was quite tired, and after a while, it was just me and Kez, and I was playing around making my own stencils. This is, oh, excuse me, the shape of the arrow that I want to go on the shoulder pad. So on one side you've got the emblem, and on the other side you've got this arrow. I'm not very good at making stencils. The problem with this shoulder pad isn't making a stencil, it's getting it on this kind of domed surface. You'll always see problems, you know, people trying to work out how to get decals on there because they fold in two different ways. It's not actually a full circle, it kind of domes that way, and it sort of domes that way as well. It's a really tricky sort of shape. And that was the neatest that I could get it. Now I can see that while it's pretty close, it's not the best set of arrows. Like this bit over here is higher than that bit there. I want to make it like it's paint worn off, so I could spray it on a little bit. I could stipple the paint on to make it like it's kind of coming away. But these arrows aren't very neat. I'm leaving it on there for now because that's the best attempt that I got, and it might be the best I ever get. And I'll be damned if I'm trying to do it again. It took quite a while to do that. But what I'm going to do is get some graph paper, which I've got loads because I did a maths course a little while ago, and I'm going to draw it out perfectly. Put the graph paper on the table, and I'm going to get tape and I'm going to mask out exactly what I've drawn on the graph paper, if that makes sense. Peel that paper, that tape away from the paper, transfer it to this. That I think will give me a pretty precise thing. That's my plan. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's that on the side as well. But for now, checks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some white paint. Just some simple white. Adrian says the Challenger 2 has been put on hold until my desk is cleared, and I have found that when airbrushing the sand colour, there's an inordinate amount of overspray. Yeah, I know what you mean. If I'm doing a lot of spraying, and I tend to just put sheets of paper or something around over here to shield what you can't see under the camera here. It's a very large area of desk space, and it's just, honestly, it's got crap all over it, if I'm honest with you. But I've also got not expensive, but they aren't cheap, hobby zone paint storage system going on over here, and I don't want to be spraying it all the time, so I do put paper up, little shield. A little bit of personal insight: my partner and myself are looking to buy a house, which is very exciting, and there are some hope on the horizon that would mean we get a house with a very ample converted loft. This is the one that we're looking at, and there in that loft space it'll be a beautifully sized studio and a gaming area in there. What a wonderful space to have. My partner wants me to take all this away so that it doesn't interfere with our life, her life. I understand entirely, but what a wonderful space to be able to have and explore. So when I move into that place, I'm gonna do lots and lots of storage with all my paint and supplies and whatever, and to keep that area nice and tidy. It'll be a fabulous little exercise. And do you know what? I might even document the whole process of moving into that space and setting it all up. Of course, when that time comes, I probably won't be online for a while I move into that house, set up new internet, get everything all set up in the studio, pack and unpack everything. So there'll be that as well. Just bear that in mind if you miss me. Yeah. So I'm probably going to go quiet a little bit while I'm painting this, so I won't be talking very much, just because I'm going to be using a lot of concentration here. So please bear with me while I do that. I do like to talk to you guys. Besides the painting, which is never really that good, the only thing I've really got is conversation, which is also never really that good. So the two need to work in tandem, really, for it to be anything like an entertaining show. Yeah, there we go. Now I've completely depressed myself. Let's move on. So I think I would like to take this white line here. The paint is not transferring from the bristles very well. He says, but now it's working. Now I'm going to try and keep it as neat as I can. Of course I'm going to. But if I start painting outside the lines or making little mistakes, I will be able to neaten it up. Of course I want to be able to, try and reduce that glare where possible. Can I reduce the glare on that? No, I don't think I can. I'm going to try and keep mistakes to a minimum, but I can just go in and paint back over them again. It just means it's going to take me a little bit longer. Just going to dim the light a little bit here. That is turning the light off entirely. I do that every time. It's a one button control, unfortunately. That's okay, isn't it? That looks a bit better. On my screen, this area here is extremely glary. I hope that looks a bit better for you. Certainly a little bit easier on my eyes, to be fair. So that's one check there. I think I might even be able to go a little bit bigger than that, to be honest with you. Because as far as I remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I might even go all the way out to this one. Take it all the way to here, if I've got any paint on my brush. Now I'm keeping that paint really, really watered down, so that it flows really easily. Come on. Oh, do you know what I'm going to need? I think what I'm going to need there is a little bit of thinner or flow improver to improve the flow. Who knew? I don't know why I shook that. There's no pigment or anything in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drop 2 drops of flow improver in there. That dilutes the paint down, but it's not the best diluter. Well, saying that, I took some tips from the source on YouTube, and he likes to use flow improver as a thinner, but I've added a drop of thinner in there as well. I'm just going to mix that up. And if I find that starts to dry before I can use it all, then I can also add in a little bit of paint retarder as well, so just to stop that drying process. Lovely. And it's going to be really, really thin. And if I was trying to do like proper full-on coverage of it, it would probably be the most frustrating thing in the world. But for just kind of drawing little lines on for now, it's sort of ideal. Paint it on super thin. That is much easier to work with. There we go. It covers reasonably quickly. Distant sounds of children playing there, so if you can hear that coming through over my microphone, which I doubt you will, but if you can, there's a little park outside my house just out the back. Some people out there enjoying the lovely sunshine that we've had lately. You may have noticed that on my face I've caught the sun quite a bit. I've been on the water. My new job, I've been on the lake paddling quite a bit. With so many guests on site, I've had to be out there supporting my team. Outdoor activity pursuits. Great time I've had, but very tiring. Okay, one big check. Perhaps too big, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the checks in place, and if I need to sort of neaten it up, change it around a little bit, I could do that later. No dramas at all. Kez saying, my paint is drying too quickly. Yeah, get some of this. It's like a gel, and it slows the drying down of your paints considerably, actually. So you only need to put in, you know, like a ball bearing size amount, and it depends on how much paint you're using. But what I've got here, like, yeah, a pea size probably is too much. Like, it will really slow down your paint. It dilutes your paint ever so slightly, but it's a gel, so it's not a significant quantity of dilution, but it will a little bit. It does make your paint look like it's slightly cloudy in its colour when you apply it, when you start applying it on, but it doesn't affect your colour at all. Not in my experience, anyway. Let's probably put that disclaimer out there. So here's a problem that I've got with these checks is that, again, we've got a domed surface here. So as I'm painting it, if I just try and paint a straight line, what's going to happen is eventually I'm going to have a point of convergence. So I've got to try and bring my lines around in line with the curvature of this knee pad, which is tricky. It would also be really good if I started pushing the brush really heavily onto the model, making really thick lines. So that's going to be something that I'm going to have to tidy up a bit later on, but for now let's just get some sort of a mesh down, shall we? Probably went a bit heavy on the diluting. I thought I was going to get a perfectly straight line there. I did not. Warp Talon's pictures have been posted to the old Book of Face, and a more comprehensive set will be posted on Discord later. Thanks, Adrian. Always nice to see what everybody else is doing and the successes that they're having. Kez is talking to me as well. My paint is drying too quickly. Don't know if that will work with speed paint. Oh, that's a good point, actually. I don't know. I could only suggest taking your time and just using little bits at a time. Now I can have a look at this and I can see that actually my grid, my lines, they're all over the place. They're not looking all that good right now, are they? And that's fine. That's okay. To make sure that I'm not painting objects in the background. Put that over there, thank you. The idea is just to get some sort of a grid down, and if it's not right, I'll just keep sketching. It's like doing it in pencil work, and then you can rub it out. But when you're rubbing it out, you're actually just putting, you know, black paint or white paint back over it again. I can see here that this white square here is probably a little bit off over in this corner up there. Doesn't look quite right. And there's what is going to be a black square here isn't really the right sort of shape. So I'm going to try and even that up a little bit. Like that. That looks a bit better. And now what I've got to do is, of course, I've got to follow that all the way up. And essentially what I've got here now is my grid almost completed. Oh, very good grid. So something like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start filling in the check, so it's a little bit easier for me to understand. So I've got white there, black there, so I'm going to put some white in this corner. And because the grid in the white squares, the grid lines are going to become a part of that square, so I also need to start thinking about the thickness of those grid lines, and is it going to make everything look like it's all consistent and level. And this square over here, even though that line sort of protrudes into that, that will be a black square over there. Yes, I can okay. I'll put a white square in here. And it looks, at the moment, it looks magnificently awful. It looks all over the place, doesn't it, at the minute? It's just terrible. It's one of those things where you just got to trust the process. When I was painting the lines on Gazgul, when I was doing the orc shoulders and whatever on him, I got those checks almost perfect first go, and I had to do a tiny little bit of neatening up, and they looked really good. But they are on an arched surface, not a domed surface, so the curvature only goes in one way and not in infinite directions or whatever like a dome does. and they were much smaller, and I think that smaller is easier. And make sure that I take this colour right up to the edges. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. So I've got a little bit of tidying up to do on this first square that I painted, because it was, you know, a mixed match of lots of other squares, wasn't it? So let's just fill that in a little bit more. Make it look a little less rubbish, frankly. I'm trying my best to not leave a texture behind. The paint's quite runny, like watery, so as I pull the bristles away, it leaves like a little blob. So I'm just trying to neaten it up a little bit. Seems to be working quite well. Excellent. Because of the way that I've lined everything up, the way I've drawn everything, in the top corner up there, there's only a little space really there for a bit of white. But we're going to fill it in all the same. Steve Jenkins has joined us. Hello, my sweaty lovelies. Yes, agreed. A up, Stephen. Stephen. With your wonderful language skills. It has been a warm week here in the southwest of the UK. What's it been like in your part of the world? We've got some people over in the US who watch this show. There's some people all the way over in Australia, some in India, some in Germany. Some people like Stephen, miles away in the north of England. What's the weather like all the way up there today? Okay, well look, the basic map of our cheques is in place, which is great. Love that. So now what I've got to do is start filling it in a little bit more and neatening it up. So I'm just looking at the cheques, which one is like the probably the least opaque with this one here. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more white in there. What I'll do in a minute is I'll come in with less watery white and start filling those squares in a little bit. But before then I'm going to get some black now, and I'm going to start neatening up the edges. It's a bit too much paint now. Let's pull some of that off. And a bit crazy there, didn't I? Yep, okay. I think what I might do is I might make this square here come in a little bit more this way, and I'm going to try and make this black square here a little bit bigger. The good thing about this model, though, is he stands up on his own. "'Tis sunny but windy," says Steve. Yeah, it was a little bit breezy the other day. I was on a lake in a raft, and I was just being blown around the entire time while I had a load of kids in the raft who were just trying to paddle, and we couldn't, and we just basically parked up on some reeds. What a great day that was. Very windy. Lovely. Right, some tea. Because it's fresh from the kettle earlier on, and it was a little on the warm side. Oh, that's a good cup of tea. Yum. Black paint. Black paint. There's some black paint. I'm not going to make the black paint any more waterier because I want its pigment strength, really. I've got my basic guide, and it is a basic guide, mapped out on the model. So now it's just about neatening up the edges with the black. Now basically this white square and this white square here, they don't match up, they kind of pass each other a little bit. So the idea now is to reduce how far this white square comes into this area. So when the square, rather than having the squares sort of beside each other, it's just the corners of them that meet. And frankly, this is the bit that starts to take the time. Now, this can be a little back and forth. It's very easy to overdo it sometimes. Starting to look quite smart now, isn't it? I like it. I think with this top white square I'm going to make it a little wider. So I might bring it in a little bit. If I do that, of course, this square and this square are going to kind of pass each other a little bit, so I'm going to have to narrow this one down a bit more as well. And it could be a bit of back and forth in that process as well. So I've got to be really careful about how I approach this. I don't want to be adding too much work in. We're almost there, really. Really good effort so far. Well done, Dan. Just trying to make sure that the lines are all in line. And the real problem with this now isn't just about making the lines consistent and line up with each other. Is that as you're making squares narrower or shifting them around a little bit, the corners can be really tricky. If you don't fill the corners up properly to a full sort of straight line 90-degree right angle in the middle, it can almost look like that your squares sort of scoop away at the edges and you kind of get these big blobby merging points. Actually, you just want them to be very, very angled, and it's just the very tips of the corners that connect with each other. That just makes everything look a little bit neater and a little bit more pro. There's going to be a comment dropping in any second now about tips and touching, and I'm just anticipating it. I tried to make it as clean as I could, but I know my crowd, I know my audience by now. Just saying, I've called you out before you've even said it. Oh, Kez is saying that they're off to the Yeovil Model Show on Sunday. Fantastic. Please take videos and photos of going around the event. Stick them up on Facebook. It's there for you guys as a community. I'd love to see the Yeovil show. Look how far we've come already. That's looking pretty cool, isn't it? I think I would have liked it better if they were smaller squares. but the picture that I showed was 8 squares, and that's what you're getting. I just wanted to copy the reference material. I don't want to make it up. I wanted it to be true to, you know, whatever. So there we go. It's true to whatever. Go back to the white now. I'm just going to neaten up the edges of this square here. I want to try and make this line a little bit more that way. We are so much more mature than that, Danny. No, you're not. I know by making my comment I interrupted your typing. This is where my back and forth battle is going to be, absolutely for sure. I can see it happening now. That's okay, I'm prepared for it. Almost done. Oh no, what a wally. I just put the white down in the black square. Okay, that's fine. Back to the black. Oh, John's joined us. Hi all, just popping by to say hello. I'll watch the replay when I get home from work. Hi John, I hope you're doing well, mate. Been a long time no speak really, and I need to catch up on all your stuff. For those of you that are looking for some interesting videos of just random models being painted, John's got an eclectic taste in like nostalgic models from movies or films, or things from the past, or just really cool stuff that John just likes the look of. Daleks, or sometimes 40k models, whatever it is. And you know what? John's a really cracking painter, so go and watch his show. But not yet. You're here with me. Don't abandon me. I need you. Anyway, John, I hope you're doing well, pal. It's nice to see your name in the live chat again, mate. We'll catch up sometime soon, perhaps. I'm pretty happy with the grid shape. Could it be a little bit neater? Yes. How close is it to being almost perfect? 90%, 95%. I'm really happy with that. If that was just now blocked in all nice and coloured, I'm not going to grumble about that at all. So now what I need to do is start filling it in properly. So the white paint that I've got mixed there is all diluted down for transferring it nice and easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another palette blob over here. I'm just going to get some just standard white paint in there, and I'm going to start filling in the gaps basically. There's a cat hair in the paint, literally in the paint pot. Love that. Thanks, Dax. So straight up paint. Here we go. Filling in the squares. Now white it's got a pretty good pigment, really, albeit such a light colour. But I am painting it directly onto black, so it is going to take a little bit of work to get that all filled in. So now it's just a patience game. And there will be the odd occasion where I maybe go a bit too crazy and I end up going over the line a little bit, have to neaten it up, and then it's another back and forth, back and forth. John says, just working, painting up some Space Wolves in my hobby time. Nice. I've never really done much with Space Wolves. When I first got into 40k, one of my friends at the time, who I don't really keep in contact with anymore. Hi Simon, if you're out there, pal. He was one of the first people I ever saw models for from 40k. And I went over to his house one weekend when he must have been about 11 or 12 years old, I think. And he was showing me all these models, and he was talking about all the different guns. I was like, well, how do you keep track of all this? I didn't get it. And he was telling me that he made all the models and painted them all up, and he played games with them. And I just got interested in the models themselves because I saw the pictures in the codexes and in the White Dwarf magazines when they were showing me all this stuff too. And I just liked the sort of environments and the huge scale fights and plasma cannons and artillery, and I just remember it being quite a strong imagination thing in my head. It was kind of cool, but I just didn't get the game aspect of it. And then other friends of mine started talking about how that they were playing the game, that they had like a little games club after school and whatever. And these are all my friends, closest friends that I had, all playing these games, and I wasn't a part of it, and I didn't even know about it. So I started talking to my dad about it, and then very soon later, for a birthday or a Christmas present or something, I got a box of Tactical Marines, and I just started painting them up and having fun with it. And it wasn't until one of my friends then invited me to the games that they were playing I really got into it. And I remember it was Space Wars was my first real insight into Warhammer 40,000. So yeah, I am going to have to water this white paint down a little bit because it's going on quite thick and leaving the texture, which is a bit of a shame. So if it is just going to keep on leaving the texture, I'm just going to play the long game and I'm going to use the watered down paint. It will take forever, but I'd prefer there to be as smooth as possible with no textures. Do you know what? That's what I'm going to do. My Space Marine looks like he's doing some sort of a weird dance. Straight into the undiluted paint. What a wally. Do you know, it could be argued now that I've got a really good grid on there, I could tape it, couldn't I? And spray it. So, I might have a go at that after the break. I'll let all this paint dry, of course. I'm happy with how that's going, you know. Steve says my favourite Space Marine chapter is the medium eels. Oh, can you give me their chapter traits, please? Medium eels. What's a large eel? What's a small eel? Somewhere in between, there's a medium eel. Yeah, I think I could give it a go, you know. Get a bit of tape on there. I have to do one square at a time, right? Decisions. It's almost like things were going too well, right? And now I have to find a way to sabotage that. I'm going to do it, and then of course I can neaten it up by hand, right? That's the plan. That's the plan. I think it can be achieved. What I'm looking for is just an even surface, right? I'm just looking for something, you know, a nice even coverage, get some nice crisp lines in there, which I can paint, and I do enjoy doing it. I'm just, you know, I'm having fun. Peel that away from there. I get that right in there for a nice tidy corner. I can. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? I'm going to have to come back to it in a second. So I'm just going to leave it like that for a minute, let everything dry that I've been painting. I'm going to come back to it and see what I can do. So, yeah, I'm going to finish off my tea here. Got to go down and see how my partner is, see if she's still feeling poorly. She's going to be, obviously. Going to go check on her. I'm going to go get myself a grown-up juice. So I'll see you back here in about 10 minutes, and we can celebrate the weekend properly. See you in a minute. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome back. I did the most terrible thing. I've poured the world's worst pint. I don't really know what happened. I have a can. Don't really like it from a can, but you know, it was a free beer and it still tastes nice. And I poured it, and that happened. And to all the beer lovers out there, sorry. I've got no one else to blame but myself, so I'm just gonna top it up and make it worse. Because why not at this point? Sorry. Let's just put that down there. Be done with it. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you're getting some nice painting done. It is now officially the weekend. I've still got a little bit of tea left in there. Hang on. Done. We'll get rid of that. Wonderful. I'm having a really good time. The painting thing, you could say is going slow, but actually it's a really difficult thing to do what I'm doing, which is, you know, painting checkerboards with really straight lines, making all the squares as accurately, you know, as consistent with each other as possible, and doing it on a domed surface. I don't know why I'm doing that, but you know what I mean. A domed surface is really difficult, and I'm sitting here with little bits of masking tape now, wondering if I can mask the individual lines off and spray it. But it takes away a certain specialness. Do you know what I mean? Like I've painted these lines by hand, and I'm fairly certain I could mask it. I'm not going to do it. I've made the decision. I'm just going to pull all this tape off. I've just got to take my time and make sure that I don't go too heavy with it, because the idea there, of course, is to make the lines, that, you know, not the lines, but the actual paint itself not textured. And when you're painting with a brush, it's easier to achieve texture by accident, isn't it? So yeah, I'm just going to carry on doing it by hand, because I'm looking at it from a distance and it looks really striking. It's really, really good, and I'm really happy with it. What more could I want? Be happy with your own successes. Don't try to correct things that don't need correcting, I suppose. And in a perfect world, let's talk about correcting things. The drink is now ready. Happy Friday, happy weekend, everybody. Cheers. Drink responsibly. So, love to know what your projects are, what you're doing with them, how well they're going. Do you need some help? Do you just want a place to celebrate and vocalize your successes? Are you having a good time like I am? If you're having a poor time, I'm really sorry, and I think that's my fault. Let us know what it is that you're working on, because I'm genuinely inspired and motivated by the works that you do. So if you want to take pictures of it, you can stick it up on Facebook, you can stick it up on Discord at the Easy 8 After Party. Come and show me photos, or it never happened. If you like what we do here, please subscribe to the show. The numbers are you. The bigger the number, the more people that are in the community, and I just want this community to be big and successful and joyful, and it is all of those things. Excuse me, that's the beer. But let's keep the chain going. So if you know someone who you think might benefit from this show, bring them along. Bring your kids, bring your family, bring your wife, bring your husband, whatever. Put up a little poster at work, at college, at school, and get your friends involved, and have a space to paint with company live. That is it. That's all we're doing. It's just live company. And for some of you, it means a lot. It means a lot to me. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. Do you know what? I'm going to give you an opportunity right now. I'll get Steve to drum this in because he loves this bit. I'm going to take a sip from my beer. You go push the thumbs up button. Go on now. Push it. I'm even going to do it. Done. There you go. It wasn't so hard, was it? Thanks. Every time you subscribe, you interact in any way, thumbs up, commenting in the live chat. When the show's done and like 24 hours later, it's in post thingy, whatever, post production, you can leave comments behind. All of those things, they interact and they affect the algorithm. All hail the algorithm. The YouTube algorithm that no one really knows how it works, but they affect it, and the more people that interact with it, that algorithm, the more it gets out there. And of course we want Easy 8 to be spread across the world like a ginormous cult. The more I say it. Anyway, do you know what? Enough of this silly place. Let's go back to the workbench. Lovely. Wonderful. Right. here I am. Look at those checkers, they're looking really good. I painted that by hand. Now I don't know if you could tell on your screen, but the bottom part there isn't white, it is a cream colour. And I'm going to darken it up as well, not darken it up, but add some opacity to it. But I've got to keep going with the white, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to enlarge my screen again, it seems to come back to a small one. There we are, lovely. Yeah, cool. I'm going to stay with this little brush for now, just because even though I could be using a larger brush to fill in these larger areas, it when I get to the edges, it's quite nice to have the accuracy that this little brush provides me, like this. And if you remember last week, I was saying that I have a tendency of using my smaller brushes as workhorses, and this is a perfect example of what it is that I'm doing. So yeah, but it works for me. I'm comfortable with it. I'm happy. I feel a lot of pressure sometimes, and I wonder if anybody else does too. But I feel a lot of pressure from the the general equilibrium of other painters out there. This brush is designed for this, and this is how you should use it. This paint is designed for that, and this is how you should use this. Do you do your thing. It's your hobby, and if you want to use the small brush for doing the bigger bits, you use the small brush, pal. So nah. That white's starting to look pretty good now. I can see this little bit here taking me the rest of the evening to paint on the show, and that'll be 2 hours doing this. And of course I started it last week, so let's say 3 hours all in all spent doing this. Is that a good 3 hours spent? Because it feels like if I'm a good painter, I should be able to get this done in a lot less, maybe. I wonder what makes me a good painter in that respect. I feel though it's come on really quickly. I don't think I've been too precious with it, and I think it's looking pretty good. Occasionally I'll have a little look up and make sure that I'm still in the camera. Really happy with this, how this is turning out. Now I know this square here and this square here, they are almost being stretched, aren't they? That's just an artifact that's gonna happen from painting on an uneven surface. That is a dome. When you look at it head on, that looks really good, and that's the angle that we're looking at here. You're never going to get away from that. You're just going to end up having these trailing off into these tiny little squares. That's just never going to amount to anything. So you've got to allow for that optical illusion to come in there somewhere. So that's how that looks basically. It's looking good though. Oh, excuse me, hiccups again. Now what I want to do is I want to carry on making this cream area or ivory colour a bit more opaque. So this is the colour that I was using. It is bone white. I'm wondering if bone white is the best colour to use. I normally use Screaming Skull for this sort of colour. I'm wondering if I use Screaming Skull it might make the colour stand out a bit more against the black and white, but actually it's only on the camera there really that the ivory colour doesn't show up very well. You can sort of see it there on my screen. I don't know if that stands out well on yours or not. But I'm just going to carry on with this one for now because, you know, talk about not being precious and all that. Just go for it, right? Some quick updates on the live chat. I didn't think that would work. Quick send in Asmodai. Don't really understand what we're talking about there, Shiv. Cheers, mate. It's a Dark Angels reference, but cool. I've been called a giant cult. Okay, cool. Is that an 8402 you are using? What are you talking about? No, this is. So you're talking about the number on my brush, right? This is an 8408? 8403? Let me just get some focus on that for you. Where's my focus button? There it is. Is that an 8403 or an 8408? I think it's 8408. Oh, but no, when you hold it like that, it's definitely a 3, isn't it? What else have I got? 8404. Yeah. And I'm assuming the next one up is 8405. Oh no, another 804. I thought that they were going to be in reference to the sizes, but that must be the range. I've got there a 1 and a 0. Look, this one here is a 000. I hope that sheds some light on that for you. Let's go back to my previous focus. There we are. Interesting, I've only seen or got 8404 and 8403. Yeah, that's 8403. It must be the range. The colour has changed on the back of the paintbrush. The other ones are all orange, so it must reference the type. Shake up on this paint here. Urgh. Another cat hair in the paint. Love that. Why not? I'm actually going to go to a slightly larger brush. I'm going to go to the 0. Quickly moisten those bristles. Now, Screaming Skull as an ivory colour, it's actually got a really good pigment, and I use it as a good base layer sometimes to add opacity to lighter colours. This particular one from Vallejo, the Bone White, is not as good. But it's doing a good enough job right now. I don't remember how many layers I put on last week, but it couldn't be much more than 1 or 2. So this is the 3rd one going on. I don't think I'm going to need much more than this. Jeff's asking, has anyone ever used nail art brushes for fine work? I haven't. There are a lot of pros out there on YouTube who use really narrow, long brushes. And I thought I was getting it right when I was selecting Raphael Kalinsky. I really like these brushes. But unless I'm going down to a really small size, this was the smallest that I had. And you can see that it doesn't necessarily have a really fine point on it. I can get a fine point on it, but I have to keep the paint supple. So I have to add water or a thinner of some kind. And then it doesn't have enough viscosity to hold that fine point. So there must be finer point brushes out there. I don't know about nail art brushes. Normally, as far as I'm aware, and I'm not a nail art connoisseur, but don't they all come in a bottle with the substance already on them? So I'd have to clean them. I don't know. Is it just easier to buy really narrow brushes? Is there a range or a brand out there that I should be looking at? Yeah, all of these questions. Oh, the model just slipped in my hands as I was painting. But fortunately I kept it together. It's got to neaten up the edge down here. Oh, I'm starting to lose my edge. Overthinking it a little bit there, really. I was doing okay before I started thinking. Okay, that's looking really good. I might do one more coat of that just for luck, but I'm obviously going to let that dry first. I am just going to use this 000 brush just to get right into the corners there. I'll show you what I mean. So just in here, it just runs out a little bit. Can you see where that doesn't quite match up in there? I've just got to neaten up that corner a little. There is an ever so slight border, black border, that runs along the bottom of the white square. Well, it's across all the bottom of the squares, between the ivory and the squares, and obviously it's more noticeable on the white. And there's a part of me that wants to just kind of bring that ivory colour up to match and get rid of that line. But it is like a bit of a free outline, and I think I'm going to leave it like that. Yes, I will. Decision made. Just says, now you seem to be able to buy them in sets, quite cheap. Google nail art brushes and look and see. Alright, I'll have a little look out there, see what I can find. It's always worth having a little play around with it all, isn't it? Cool, so In terms of like squad markings or markings, etc. This just needs a little bit of time to neaten up. The only other piece really is this. There will be a red arrow in that shape on this shoulder pad when I'm happier with that template. There will be a number over it. I'm sure I can find an appropriately sized and styled numeral decal to go over the top of it. I'm sure, like from a vehicle set or something like that, I can have something that will go on there and make it look really, really smart. However, I'm unsure if I'm going to make that look weathered when I put the decal on. I've kind of got to do the same with that, so I might have to try and scuff the decal and make it look all gnarly and the such. So we'll see what happens there. Yes. Now I'm thinking about that. I made that tougher for myself, haven't I? Well done. So other things I want to do is just basic weathering and things like that. And rather than doing weathering on the marine himself, what I intend to do later on is just do a really dark brown oil paint wash all over him. Like I said I was going to do with my recent Tyranid, but never did. But I will do it with this guy. Just wipe the paint on, and then wipe the paint off, and leave it in the recesses, and then kind of drag it in areas. So that I think will leave a nice tone all over it. I'm going to keep it subtle because the paint so far is quite striking. So I want it to be a subtle thing, and that might take some time. But that is going to be almost right at the end because I want some little glow effects or whatever to be over the top of all of that as well. But for now, I've got this little leather pouch here. I've got one there, and I've got two on the back. These ones are straight ones. They're almost like, I suppose, like little magazine pouches or something. And this one here is, I don't know, where he keeps his specs in his mobile phone, perhaps. I don't know. But this one's actually got, like, sculpted onto it, creases and folds and whatever. And I really like to do a distressed leather look on these things. I've never done a distressed leather. I've never been very good at painting leather. I've seen loads of videos. I don't want to go and research it anymore. I just kind of want to have a crack at it, and it's just about picking lighter tan colours, etc., and just doing little scratches and lines over it, and just taking it, taking my time and making it look good. Yeah, and then I'm going to paint the grenade that's on here. I don't know how to paint that. I want it to stand out, but I don't want it to be so bold. You go like that looks a bit corny. So undecided with that yet. Maybe I'll do it a real nice light grey or something. Unsure. And he's got like a little trinket, a little sword token thingy just hanging off his belt there. I might just do that like a nice silver or gold colour to match in with the emblems on his shoulder and on his chest. So yeah, those are the things that I'm looking at doing immediately. It's also got a little icon in his face there. Yeah. We have some glowy eyes. They will be glowing. We've got a little display on the back of his wrist here with a couple of little buttons or something. I'd like to do a tiny bit of glow effect on that as well, perhaps. We'll have a little look, see what happens. I am noticing that the behind the elbow piece here, when I sprayed him, I've tried to pull the arm off in a way that would hold the position. I wasn't able to do that. Both arms have missed a bit of underspray. So I'm going to have to try and neaten that up at some point, and I'm thinking I'm just going to whack a load of black in there and hit it with a bit of the dark green over the top, and it should blend that in. So those are some other things that I'm thinking about as I'm painting this part of the project down here. The reason I'm talking to you about that, of course, is I just wanted to give it some time for that to dry. Now I'm happy with that ivory colour. I'm going to do one more layer on that, but in a bit. Now I'm going to go back in and do some more white. So, no. the white paint that I thinned down earlier is starting to congeal a little bit. So even though it was a little bit too runny a minute ago, I'm now adding a little bit of water into it here and there just to sort of loosen it up a little bit, so that it just becomes a little bit easier to manipulate. I don't want it to be leaving textures on the model, as I've said countless times this evening. Grenade, Warpstone Glow, and a Heavy Agrax Cryptek Armor Shade. What is Warpstone Glow? Is that a green colour? What are all these colours actually? A Heavy Agrax, I know what that is. What is Cryptek Armor Shade? Tell me these colours which you speak of, please. You're speaking in tongues to me. Doing my very quiet concentration voice now, so apologies for that, but perhaps a little bit of quiet was what you needed. I understand that it's a show that sort of should entertain at the same time, but sometimes I've just got to switch off for a moment just so I can get that focus and concentration in there. I'm almost as neat as I think I'm going to get with this. Literally just neatening up the very fine corners of these colours. I might come in and do like one more fine coat on them. So it really is now just the black corners and making sure that the corners of those black squares touch, really. Otherwise, that is looking pretty gosh darn good. That's quite a change from what it looked like at the beginning of the evening, where I had these really tiny little checkers. I was going to fill the whole thing. If you can imagine what that would have looked like, it would have been crazy. Darren's joined us. Hi, Darren. Hope you're doing well, pal. Nice to see your name in the live chat again. What's happening, pal? Shiv says that Warpstone Glow is a fairly bright green. Cryptek Armor Shade is similar to Agrax but darker. Well, I don't have either of those, but I do have some very vibrant greens. I have that as vibrant green. This is Scorpion Green or Escorpina Green from Vallejo. And I've got, down from that, I've got Goblin Green, which is almost like a leafy green, really. Got Sick Green. It's quite vibrant, but still quite leafy. Quite natural tones, really. I've got Livery Green, or Livery Green, which is verging on the yellow. I can see why people would call that a yellow. I might even say that is yellow myself. Bit of a shake. And it turns a little greener. It's definitely on the spectrum of between yellow and green. But that's back to Scorpion Green. That's quite a vibrant colour. It's not neon though. I do have different things to Agrax. I've got Celia Green Shade, which is a green colour. Brightclone Flesh Shade, which obviously has fleshy tones to it. What else have I got? Snakebite Leather. Never enjoyed that. I don't know why I picked it up. I just have it. Yeah. Other things. What other colours have I got? Volupus Pink. Nope. Gilliman Flesh, which is a contrast colour. That could be quite interesting as well. And of course I've got Basilicanum Grey, which if I decide to not do the oil paint all over it, the Basilicanum Grey is what I've used over when I did Gazgul. I did the checks on him. I gave it the very, very lightest amount of Basilicanum Grey wash, just to take the edge off of the white, because it just popped a little too dramatically. And that is something that I could do on this as well. So yeah, I might tone it down a little bit. Who knows? We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now, obviously, that there is kind of done for this evening. It does need one more coat just to neaten it up. So we'll see if we get that in before the end of the evening. What I want to do now is just go back to the black colour, and I just want to neaten up the corners of the black squares. That's much better already. Just really refining and defining the edges there, getting those corners to meet. Much happier with the way that those corners meet now. Just that one little bit here, I think. Yeah. Dead happy with that. Dead happy with that. Oh, Mike's joined us as well. Hi, Mike. How are you doing, mate? Nice to see you again. Darren says, sadly, no modelling time for me this week. Yeah, I've not had any time during the weeks over the last few weeks, so that's why the show has been quite important to me recently. But if you haven't got time, you have a good time. We've all got families, we've all got lives and routines and whatever. It's just nice to be able to sometimes etch that little bit of time out, isn't it? Wherever you're able to. Yeah, happy with that. I'm going to let that dry before I do any kind of sort of washing over or anything like that. I'm just going to let that dry. It just needs to dry overnight now. I suppose the next bit now is just kind of moving on to these little details here, working my way up. This bit here is definitely going to take a little bit of effort. I just need to kind of sort that out in my headspace, really. So here, the colours that I were using for this, I think, was a bit of charred brown. I love charred brown. It's a really, really nice colour. I'm actually almost out of it in my airbrush one here because I use it for a lot of other things. I do have a brush version of it. It's quite thick, so I tend not to use it. It takes a lot of watering down. But I think what I need to do is, it's quite dark there. It's got the black undercoat, the primer from that showing through almost. So it's not very vibrant, but you can see there is brown on it. I think I'm going to keep it at that level, and from what I've seen, it's all about high contrast when it comes to putting all the distressed scratches and things in onto leather. So almost like an edge highlight, using on that little pouch on the side just here, where all the creases are that have been sculpted into it. It's picking those out in a slightly higher contrast colour. I can add different colours, ivories or whites, to that particular charred brown to see what sort of colour that gives me. But I've also got this earth colour here, which I quite like. Now, it might be that this is a little too on the bright side now, but definitely there is a steep contrast from stuff that I've seen from base colour the weathering effects over it. All the cool people out there that I've seen painting are very, very good, very, very accurate with fine point tipped brushes, etc. I'm not that good, so I think what I need to do is, rather than make a pig's ear of it with big fat lines where I should be trying to keep it really narrow, with a brighter colour, is I should probably use charred brown. So that's what I will do. I've got charred brown here in a brush version. I will add a little bit thinner to it, and I'll add a little bit of ivory to it and see what colour that brings out. It's a nice colour though. Give it a bit of a shake. Just a little bit in there. And I'm going to add just a smidge of bone white. Literally just a smidge. I'm going to put a little dollop on the side of my palette just here. And I can introduce my brush to it and then dip it in and see what happens. Just got a crappy old mixing brush here. Okay, I can add a bit more bone white. I didn't have an awful lot there at all. Okay. Now this is one of those paint thing ideas or whatever that I'm fully expecting to be backwards and forwards with all over the place, trying to find like the perfect colours and tones or whatever, because I've never done this bit before. And that's the fun part, right? Try to enjoy what you do, what you got, and etc. What I've made in the palette there is something that is probably too light, so I'm adding a bit of brown back into it just to pull the colour back a little. And what I've got there is something that I'm quite happy with actually. So what I'm going to do is clean my brush out. I'm going to add a little bit of flow improver in that just to kind of dilute it down a little bit. I want it to be a smooth, easy paint to get onto the pouch itself. So let's get a bit of flow improver. There we are. There's not a lot of paint in there, so I think one good drop should do it. Gonna need some new flow improver soon. I think I might buy a bigger bottle of it. Smidge of water. That colour really shows through or not, but it's quite a nice colour against the dark brown here. I think that'll be good enough for now, and then I can go straight from that into something like the earth colour and something quite bright there. Just got a few minutes really left of the show, so if there's anything that you wanted to talk about, maybe you got a, oh hello, maybe you got a recent win that you want to talk about, celebrate on the show, that's absolutely fine. Now's the time to do it. If you're struggling or asking questions, yeah, fire away now or forever hold your peace. Until next week, obviously. Okay, really happy with how that came out. Look at that, all by hand. I say that I'm not a good painter. Maybe I am. I don't know. I'll leave that for you guys to decide. I am going to start on the bottom edge of this pouch here because it's the cleanest, easiest hard edge to get in on. And what I'm going to do is ever so gently just try my best to get an edge highlight. That works rather well, actually. So well, I'm going to redefine it. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect colour. well, I might have to just carry on painting this evening until I've finished all of this, because I'll never get that mixture again, will I? I don't know if that's something that's showing up on the camera all that well, but it's a lovely little colour that I've made. It's not too subtle, and it's not too striking, but it is enough to bring definition to those harder edges. And now, after this, I can start going over with higher contrasting colours for all the weathering and details. Try and use the tip of the paintbrush there to get on that sort of that top fold or pocket or cover or whatever. Up till now I've been using the edges of the bristles to pick out the corner edges. But now I'm just going to have to keep the bristles wet. There we are, and then just get a bit of colour on the edge of that. That looks pretty cool. Just adding in some random lines roughly in the area that the creases are sculpted into. Just to bring a bit of attention, artificial attention if you like, to some of those creases. Start filling it in a little bit. Oh, I've got a really horrible itch on my wrist. Maybe it's telling me it's time to finish the evening. Yikes, that's horrible. So you can see what I'm doing here. Can you see where I'm just adding a little bit of body into the colour here? Just by following the lines and the creases in there. Makes it like the leather of the pouch is being tugged and shoved in different directions with whatever is being kept inside. Packet of cigarettes or something, maybe. That's a question for you. What do Space Marines keep in their pouches? Wrong answers only, please. A little bit of definition now, just along the top of the back line there of that top part. Take my time. Try not to go over the top, but just thought I'd accentuate some sort of shapes or lines that suggest that the corners are under stress and tension, and just trying to give it a little bit of, I suppose, action. Not really going to see underneath it, are you? But always nice to give it a little bit of love and care. That's okay. Like that. That's good. It's my first go at it. Now I can do lots of crisscross shapes and patterns over it with lighter colours to make it look like it's kind of been worn, etc. I might even kind of neaten that up by putting a blendy colour over the top, like a unifying brown, like Agrax or even Seraphim Sepia. Might make that all sort of blur in a little bit, but it's quite cool. I like it. Wonderful. Right, let's come away from here. It's a silly place. So, some things going into the live chats here, some weird comments going in about Werther's original. Oh, I see. Space Marines keep a jar of Marmite and a bag of pork scratchings in their main pouch. That is a very British response, and for our American viewers, pork rind, that's the word we use. Yeah, pork rind. A set of Allen keys and a wheel of cheese for emergencies, and 11sies. Yeah, of course. You don't want to be caught off short in a protracted engagement or like a long campaign without your 11sies. Chewing tobacco, half a pack of polos, an emergency contraceptive crisp packet. Yikes, that's going to chafe on the edges, isn't it? Mashed potato. It is known. In the secondary pouch resides a map of Luxembourg and the helpfulness of the French. It's getting a bit abstract now. I heard Emperor's Children like to bring along those mini Nutella packets. Yeah, I do like those, but there's never enough. And always too much biscuit for the Nutella. I want more Nutella, less biscuits. Thank you. Alpha Legion, Whisper. Maybe they're all Alpha Legion. Not going down that rabbit hole. Space Wolves, dog treats. Yep. Or would they just eat them all? They'd never contain them, just be like dog treat crumbs. Blood Angels used to have Red Bull in theirs, but in 10th edition GW took their wings away. So sad. Now they have Monster in the Death Company. Yeah, fair enough. 10mm socket spanners. No, there's never one when you need one. They'll go in there and be like, I've left it back in the workshop. Thanks for all of those answers and responses. Let me know what you think of this guy so far. He looks like he's playing some sort of guitar or doing some sort of weird dance. What do you think of the checker pattern? What do you think of the leather pattern on there so far? I mean, I could certainly make that neater, but yeah, tell me what you think, because it's always nice to have feedback on these things. Yeah, I paint for you as well as for me. I'd love to know what you think of my painting abilities. A packet of cigarettes. Yeah, maybe he should just elastic band them to the top of his pauldron. Yeah, anyway, that's it for me this evening. I'm going to head on over to Discord in just a few minutes. Again, my partner is poorly, so I'm going to go and check on her and see if she's okay. Yeah, she probably has gone to bed. So I'm going to be a few minutes before I head on over there. Again, I'm not going to have a late night tonight because I'm working 12 days in a row and I'm back in my office tomorrow morning, so yeah, it won't be a massively late one, but I will be over there. So if you want to come and join the live party, the after 8 party, whatever you want to call it nowadays, you can. You can join in the video chat with me and some of the guys who will always be there. You can come and just type if you want to, or you could just use microphone. There's no need for you to use a video camera. I'm getting the call that my headset's running out of battery, so it really is time to go. Darren says he's loving it. Thanks, mate. Love that. There's still some more things going in there. Things that Space Marine keeps in their pouches. Bat signal, strepsils. Yeah, you gotta have a strepsil. until next week, stay safe, be kind, keep on painting. I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. Yeah, lion bars, that's a good one. And don't diss the Raven Guard.